statement by the U.S. Embassy to a comment or an advice John Mahama made yesterday during his rounds in parts of the northern region. You know, there is some renewed violence in Boku, and there is this suspicion by many Ghanaians that some of these things are deliberately stoked just to stagger votes that may come from some parts of this country. But beyond that, there have been concerns about the EC, about the tension that is rising in this country. But the U.S. Embassy has issued a statement, and the statement basically, as you read on the screen, and in summary from what I am saying, is that if you are involved or want to be part of anything that will trigger violence, they will place visa restrictions on you. I want us to listen to John Mahama's message to the people from the Boku area, so that when we come back, my guest will tie that to the statement by the EC and by the U.S. Embassy, and by extension, what Ghanaians wish for ourselves come December 7.
Fortunately, any time the peace of Ghana will be disturbed, it is the MPP government that is in power. Recently, I've been hearing some things happening in Boku that appear to be threatening to disturb the peace there. I just appeal to the people of Boku area and all those who are stakeholders in what is happening there to exercise patience, exercise restraint. We know that there are some sinister hands who are trying to stoke the fires of ethnic conflict. They should not allow themselves to be provoked to violence. And so please, the people of Boku area, I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you, remain calm, be restrained, don't resort to conflict. NDC is coming. When we come, we will make sure there is peace in Boku.
And so that was His Excellency John Dramani Mahama speaking to the recent incident at Boku. I'm told 8 people have died so far. I'm not sure of the figures, but 21, well, that's the update I'm just picking from one of my guests. But if you look at what is happening, many Ghanaians are becoming worried about the peace and security of this country. Let me start off with you, Mutala. How do you see his advice and, of course, the statement by the U.S. Embassy?
Well, first and foremost, there has never been a resolution to any conflict through war. Every conflict, even the First World War, the Second World War, they found solutions to them through dialoguing. So my first appeal is to that we cannot find a resolution to this conflict except through dialogue. As Idagomba, we have had before, you have had instances where friends departed, where marriages were broken as a result of chieftaincy conflict in Dagbang. I think that I'm just being very careful, because both the Mampusis and the Gusasis are all brothers, and we need to be very careful. But I want to look at the irresponsibility and recklessness of government in the matter of this conflict. I have seen people who have written several pieces that anytime the NPP is in power, the problems in Boku emanate. And as to whether that is true or not is another matter. So I'm saying that the responsibility to ensure there is peace and tranquility, not only in Boku, across the country, it is the exclusive responsibility of the state. To the extent that the state failed to discharge their responsibility, and we get engaged in the kinds of things we engage in, is just unacceptable. When lives are lost, people are just focused on the lives are lost. But behind those lives, there are children who have become orphans. There are women who have become widows. Education of children will be truncated. The livelihood and survival of several people will be affected. Sometimes not only kids, but people who depended on those lives. And I think that we need to be looking at them in that perspective. As a Northerner, I feel sometimes extremely hurt when some of these things are happening. I have gone through the social media, and you read some of the write-ups of people as a Northerner, you get extremely hurt. And but to the extent that people would do that because there is no much information as to what pertains there. There are people who do not even know the difference between a Dagomba, a Gonja, a Mampusi, a Okusa. They see all of us as Northerners, and precisely so, because we all trace our heritage and our lineage, one great grandfather. I think that we need to find a way to find through this. And listen to President Mahama. It's very clear. you would see that this is a true leader who is speaking. The president should have been the one making these statements, but we haven't heard him. Instead, what he has done, depending on visitation in any of these palaces, is to stoke tension and to exacerbate some of the problems that are happening. We expect our presidents and our leaders to be speaking the way President Mahama has spoken. And he certainly couldn't have said it better than the fact that, inshallah, the NDC is coming to power and there will be some lasting peace in the Boko area. After all, these are brothers, these are people who trace their lineage one. But why is it that you have this sometimes tacit and open, interest that is taken by a political elite? I listened to an MPP parliamentary candidate, and the way he spoke, I mean, he belongs to NPP, for which reason he is a parliamentary candidate. And you can only come to one conclusion, that the problems we have in Boko today, it is orchestrated by the political elite. And those who should take the absolute responsibility is the president and his vice president, who seemed to be wanting to be elected as the people, the president of the Republic of Ghana. On the issue of the U.S. embassy, I think that it should go beyond just the embassies in America and the European countries. And I think it should go to some African countries too. Because some people think that they can foment trouble, they can create chaos and anarchy and leave. Some of us are in this country. I don't have a visa to any country, and I haven't made the attempt to go in for any visa. I live in this country, my family lives in this country, my wife and my kids lives in this country. And that is why it is of tremendous concern to me to ensure that we maintain the peace and stability of this country. But unfortunately, those who have the exclusive power and the authority to ensure that we have the peace and stability in this country themselves are those who are fomenting trouble. This government is a very violent government. This government cares less about the peace and stability of this country. And I think that the US embassy and the European countries, their embassies, should be focusing on the ministers and apparatchiks. You have leading members of the MPP who issue threats. Salam Mustafa, the MPP youth organizer, he issues threats every single day. You have leading members of the MPP who threatens everybody every day. Nobody says anything. The question is, where is the clergy? Where are the civil society organizations? Where are those who consider themselves as doyens, if you like, of our democratic growth and development? They are all in a complete state of incommunicado. They should be speaking out, and they should be pointing out to those who indeed safety and comfort are ensured by our taxes, but who themselves are the leading advocates of violence and chaos in this country. They are those they should be focusing on. So
now, sir, if you look at the statement, would you say it's a ritual which comes along with every election, or the US, which has its own intelligence on the ground, haven't monitored activities ahead of the election, is now openly sending that strong note?
First of all, it is not a ritual. It is their statement derives from their understanding of the volatile situation in this country. They also believe that some people are fanning the flames of conflict. And so I believe they have an idea of those who are behind these things. So they are sending a warning to these people to beware that if conflict does erupt in Ghana, they'll be held responsible. And one way of holding them responsible is to deny them entry into the United States of America. And the United States of America being the leader of the global West, I'm sure other Western countries will follow suit. And so it is very serious. Now, I have always wondered why Nana Akufo-Addo's government is interested in fanning conflict all over the country. I mean, just a few days ago, he did one in Tamale here. He went to the airport against the advice of the overlord of Dogon and changed the name of the airport. Now, that's how conflict starts. It sows the seed of conflict by these little acts. Now, how do you explain that a government that was totally against the coronation of another person as Bokunaba will now smuggle that person into Boko under heavy military guard? How do you explain that? If not fanning of conflict. Government is neck deep in what is happening in Boko. And government has an exterior motive for doing that. They want to make the place unsuitable for elections and safe for elections and declare that election cannot be held there. They have, with the Electoral Commission, done that in the past. in Saint-Tropez, Akwafo, the Lobby, and Lipe. 4 years, the people did not have representation in parliament. Government was not worried because they knew that if the people were given an opportunity to vote, they will not vote them. And so they were not worried. This is the hand of the MPP government and Nana Akufo-Addo in Boko. Now, what John Dramani Mahama has said is what every responsible leader should say. We are one people in one nation with one destiny. And so when one part of the country is on fire, discerning minds must call the people to order, must advise caution. Because wherever you are, like Comrade Mutala has said, you will be affected. Your friends will be affected. Your family, we are intermarried here, they will be affected. I attended school in Manpurgo. I have friends there. I mean, so you can't wish conflict even for your worst enemy. You can only wish them to dialogue. And former President Mahama says he prioritizes the peace of the country over everything else. He wants us to be one people, pursuing a common destiny, a destiny to eradicate poverty and bring prosperity to all the people, create equality of opportunity for all the people of this country.
Now, so yesterday, many of you who have been following Wezo TV's programming would know that he has been to 3 constituencies, Saboba, Zabzugu, and 4. Okay, and Tatali in the northern region. In the northern region, because that's where he is now. And the videos that will accompany our conversation will let you know how he has been received. Let me start off with you from where you ended. Now, you are no more into active politics because you are not going again as a member of parliament. Now, if you sit back and you see the enthusiasm, late night yesterday I saw you at Zabzugu. What signal does it send, and what does it reflect about the people of the northern region and December 7 coming ahead?
So there's going to be a tsunami in northern region. Everybody has lived through the deception of the MPP. Northern region is united more than ever before. We have one objective: to reclaim territory that we had lost. I concede that as a member of parliament, a former member of parliament, I had simply abandoned other constituencies, largely because I had no time to go there. I was concentrating on my constituency. That gave the MPP a field day in the rural constituencies, and they went grabbing and stealing our seats. Now that I'm not actively in parliament or actively involved in partisan politics, I have had enough time with others to go around, and I can tell you things are going to happen in the northern region now. And you saw what I mean, the crowd that came out yesterday across the 3 northern constituencies, that's Saboba, Tatale, and Zabzugu. Now that's to send a clear signal to anybody that northern region will change. Will change because we have a president who's been there before. My brother, if you are given an opportunity to elect the known and the unknown, even as teachers, Mutala was a teacher, we teach from the known to the unknown. You have heard this man, you've assessed him. He achieved a lot, but even what he achieved, they describe that as incompetence. The MPP in opposition described that as incompetence, what he achieved. But funny enough, they have not been able to come close to that mark. That should tell you something, that they only did that for mere political party. They had absolutely no plan of transforming this country, and we've seen through them. By their actions. We know that they are only interested in their own development. They are kleptocrats. Now, how do you explain that in conspiracy with the Bank of Ghana, they threw about 1 million people, 1 million Ghanaians into poverty? How do you explain that people who had worked their lives, saved money, thought that the most secure securities in this country were government bonds invested to take care of their young children and those in schools. How